So today I want to talk about 3 things really to help you use boundaries in your relationships and with yourself. Number 1, what is a boundary? Number 2, how do you set a boundary? And number 3, what are the benefits of having a boundary? So number 1, what is a boundary? A boundary is basically how you're setting things in place where you must be treated. So we have to be clear, if you treat me this way, it doesn't feel good. I'm not going to allow it. And that's where we set the boundary. Now, a boundary is really in line with your values. So knowing what your values is really important for you to know what you must require in how other people treat you. Number 2, how do you set a boundary? Now, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. Most of us tend to say things like, you have to stop treating me that way. You have to be more respectful. You have to take care of things for me, or whatever we do. The problem with that is it's really stepping into their business. And in previous videos, I talked a lot about staying in your own business. It's the same thing here. It's our business to decide where we're going to set our boundary. And then all it is if you overstep it, this is what I'm going to do. It's nothing about controlling how they're going to do it, if they need to stop or if they don't need to stop. It's all about, here is where I've put my boundary. If you step over it, this is what I'm going to do. And you just need to leave, or you need to cut off the conversation. And it's done with compassion. It's done with respect, because we don't want to overstep their boundaries, but we are staying here and saying, I will not continue this communication or connection with you until you have stepped back out into the safety zone and not in my boundary place. So that is the really important part of how to set a boundary. The second part of that boundary setting is how to follow through. So if you have set that we must follow through. So if you've set very clear boundary, you know what you're going to do, and either you've told the person or you just know it internally. When a person oversteps your boundary, you have to follow through every single time, because it's not a boundary if you haven't. And so when you are setting a boundary and the action that goes with it, you have to really be clear that this is something that you can follow through on. Now, another part about setting how to setting a boundary is, how do we know really where that boundary needs to be? And like I said, it needs to be aligned with your values. And one of the ways you know that there needs to be a boundary there is by paying attention to how your body reacts. So if you are noticing things like tense shoulders or blanking or sweating or feeling something in your body, you know that something has happened where your body's reacting to it, and there probably needs to be something in place, or someone has overstepped a boundary for you. So our bodies are always guiding us to tell us exactly where those boundaries need to be. Now, number 3 is, how does the boundary benefit us? Well, I think this is the most important thing that we can really connect to. If we want to create the lives that we want for ourselves, that's very in line with our values and who we want to be, we have to be empowered. And this is where we take our control to create the life that we want. And we decide and there will be people always who are going to step boundaries. And that's not the point. That's life. But we always can decide what action to take if someone does overstep. And that's our responsibility. So boundaries are fantastic. They let us be ourselves in our relationships and require of ourselves what we need for ourselves, as well as not allowing people to overstep our boundaries. And it keeps the loving relationships flowing much, much more beautifully. So good luck with boundaries. Please check out the worksheet that I have attached. And if you aren't on the newsletter list, that's where you can get it. Sign up there and you will get the worksheets along with the video. If you found this helpful and you enjoyed it, please share it. You can share it on Facebook. And please come back again and check out the next videos. Thanks. We'll see you next time.